everyone out there in the land of YouTube. Annette Dion here. I'm the host and founder of the Psychic News Network. And this is a Psychic News Network without cards, without a pendulum, with pumpkin carving. So I'm going to carve my pumpkin here. And I'm just going to talk to you about what's going on and what kind of impressions that I'm getting. So I hope you've had a good day. It's Wednesday. It's hump day. And I think probably most of you are aware that psychics don't need tools, but they're fun to use. Psychics can just tune in, psychics that are clairvoyant can just tune in and kind of feel what's going on out there in the cosmos. That weird light is my spider light, so I'm not changing colors, it's just the light. Today we had the attorney generals from, I think, 23 states filing a lawsuit against this fascist regime for not releasing, if they're not going to give people the SNAP funds that they're usually getting. There's an emergency fund that can be tapped into. When I think about this regime that we're under at the present time, I think of real fascism. So that's what we are pushing back against. We're pushing back against the actual type of, I guess you could just say governing for lack of a better word, the type of governing in which pain is inflicted on the people of that nation. So it's really great to see the pushback. We are an established democracy. For 249, going on 250 years, we have been able to work within that democracy. The difference now, I don't know why that went out, is that it used to be kind of like the social agreement type of government where we all agreed that it's the best thing ever to live in freedom, and each and every one of us will do everything we can to defend that liberty for all. And fascism is what we're finally aware of as being what we're fighting against. Now, we all knew that. Project 2025 is a fascist manual. I'm going to draw a picture on the pumpkin. I'm going to draw a basic jack-o'-lantern face. Just basic, nothing fancy. So what we're up against is sadists, sadistic humans with mental illness who want to inflict cruelty because they get off on it. It makes them feel powerful. Here we have the eyes. I heard today, I was listening to a podcast, I don't know if it was Simon Rosenberg or Michael Popak. One of them. They're both great. In which they were describing a judge putting a stay or a hold on future activity of ICE because they're throwing people to the ground. I mean, these are crimes that if you did this to somebody, just a person on the street, and you did this to somebody, you'd get arrested. If you just pummeled someone for no reason and beat them up and hurt them, and the thing that really got my goat, and it will get yours, is these ICE agents descended upon a children's parade, little kids dressed in costumes, and exploded tear gas on the Halloween parade. That's the kind of thuggery, there are no words, that we're talking about. So let's give the jack-o'-lantern a smiley face with some teeth. I just do a very classic jack-o'-lantern Been doing this for years. Halloween's my favorite, if you couldn't tell. Yep. Tear gas at the children in Chicago who had costumes on, and they were going to be in a Halloween parade. These people are monsters. Monsters. So, what do I think is going to happen? I think that from my psychic perspective, this shit's going to get shut down. It is. Donald Trump is getting weaker by the day. His mental decline is in an advanced stage. We've seen it forever, but the thing about dementia or Alzheimer's or whatever he has, it's not like it doesn't ever get better. It only gets worse. That's the saddest thing about dementia and Alzheimer's. And there are experimental drugs to delay the progression of the diseases. And I read to you last night on PNN when I did a video. I read you what Kathy Beale had sent me about what kind of drugs he was on, and it involves MRIs and intravenous administering something. So now it's time to carve the pumpkin, but first we're gonna make a little lid. We have to cut out a little lid. So Trump is on some kind of medical procedure, and gotta have your fake beer while you're carving your pumpkin. Cinnamon and clove and apple cider. It's a delicious mocktail. So what he's doing with all this traveling to Asia, I mean, I know that he's trying to, on the surface, it appears that he's trying to make a better relations with Taiwan and Malaysia. They're kind of looking at it as though he's going to improve our relationship with these countries. But what he's actually doing is he's scared out of his wits about the Epstein files, and he's trying to escape. Because he's not really smart enough to figure out anything but escaping. His mind is in fight or flight. His mind is in serious decline. His brain is in serious decline. And now he's in fight or flight. He's in danger. He's in danger of everything being exposed, like him being in business with his buddy through the years. Him working for Putin is another thing. And there are threads of each of those situations that are all tied together. So as far as what's going to happen to Dumpy, I do see a tipping point where he falls, or he already kind of does this, but he hasn't actually fallen physically. I see a situation where it becomes, oh my God, and I know it feels like we've already been there, like we've already passed that point, but it's going to be something that the MAGA Republicans cannot sugarcoat. So I think it's going to be like, it could be a stroke. I mean, there's no reason why it really couldn't happen, right? If somebody just strokes out, it comes on without warning. Well, there are warning signs, but it's not like, oh, well, today you might be having a stroke, so make sure you're prepared. No, the brain does what it's going to do. And a lot of elderly people have mini strokes. So it's not just one big stroke. So that could happen. But I definitely see a time where he's going to not be able to hide it as they've been trying to hide it. And they've been trying to hide it really badly. when I was thinking about doing this for my PNN, I'm like, I better pre-record it, which is what I'm doing anyway these days. But in case something goes wrong with the knife. So anyhow, he will have an episode. He's heading for, this is my psychic impression. I mean, you might say it doesn't take a psychic. But he's heading for a public display that's undeniable, in which it will be known to everybody that he can't be in that position anymore because he's not there. There's nobody there. Now, I could be foreseeing his ultimate, the ultimate place where we're all headed. But I think the precursor to that will be a huge health episode. Worse than what he's had to date. I'm feeling like it will be fairly soon. So I have to laugh when I hear even pro-democracy channels, and I've left comments that say, we've got three more years of this. No, we don't. No, we do not have 3 more years of him. He's not going to be around that long. If you know what I'm saying. Now, the attorney generals of the different states, Massachusetts being one, yay, Massachusetts, the blue states. Sorry, red states. I mean, it's very sad what's going on, but we tried to warn you. And then there are people in red states who did vote for Kamala, We can't really be mad at the people that voted for Trump because they were brainwashed, right? Listen to Stephen Hassan because he'll give you perspective. And today I did catch Stephen Hassan, who wrote The Cult of Trump. I did catch his live stream. Go subscribe to his channel. He doesn't have a lot of subscribers on YouTube. And he mentioned the Boston Church of Christ, which is how I became so adept at knowing how cults work, because members of my family actually met Stephen Hassan during that time that we were going through that in my family. Like, and when somebody falls into a cult, it's very disconcerting. It's very hard because if you are not aware of what's happening to them, you just can't figure it out. It's like, how did you get to be so irrational, right? So he was kind of talking about that a little bit. Anyway, the pumpkin is open. Open for scooping business. So, his health is failing. By the time his health really fails and he cannot function as a human being, let alone a president, like can't stand up kind of thing, it's bad. It's very bad. What I see for him is very bad. By the time that happens, and we're really close to this right now, the American people will be so livid, MAGAs included. I think about the beef farmers, how, macho, eat as much steak as you can, and I was just reading today about a steakhouse in Boston that had, this guy owned 2 restaurants. He's selling them. He's going right out of business. I don't think that steakhouses will be anymore. Anyway, by the time Dumpy has his massive health episode, try not to drop the pumpkin. By the time that happens, the American people will just, we will be mobilized. We'll be already mobilized. But it won't be like all of us who worked on the Kamala Harris campaign and spread the word and we're all pro-democracy. It won't be just us. It'll be the whole country. And we're going in that direction. The numbers are way, way, way down for Trump. Way. Lowest poll numbers, lowest ratings, lowest approval of any president in American history. Of course, we're a democracy. We're not a fascist form of government. We're not. Don't let people tell you that we are, because we're not. We're a democracy. We are fighting. We're fighting back. We have our sea legs. We know what we're doing now. We've been fighting the good fight for a while. And so those who have been, remember a year ago I ended Grassroots of Democracy. We did that for 2.5 or 3 years. And I ended it because I felt like people were kind of still taking democracy for granted. Like we do. And anyway, but my point is that we've laid the groundwork for the activism. We really have. And so, like, you know, I was listening to Simon Rosenberg earlier. Like, Simon Rosenberg laid the groundwork. Midas Touch laid the groundwork in a huge way. Brian Tyler Cohen, you know, there's so many pro-democracy people and channels and Substacks and YouTubes and they're all over social media. There are so many. They're countless. The number of pro-democracy groups and organizations that exist right now because of Dumpy, countless. So, what I want to say about that is that we are going to get to a place where we're excited. We're going to get to a place, and you can sort of think about this and project for this, where we are like, okay, we know what to do. We have our marching orders, right? And when more and more people get on board with that, we're going to feel like, oh, this is great, right? And I kind of feel it in the collective already. I was at the store earlier, and I took issue with somebody who was working at the grocery store. I took issue with somebody who wasn't very polite to me, and I went right up to customer service afterwards, and I relayed my experience. And I was grateful that the woman in customer service was receptive. And actually, now that I think of it, that happened today. People that I had to talk to, one was the electric company, where I was like, I was prepared. I was bracing myself. Oh, this isn't going to be easy. They're going to have a problem, and it's going to get heated. But I noticed when I went to customer service at the grocery store and kind of issued a little bit of a complaint, like, you know, I didn't need the attitude, right? Kind of complaint that I was complaining. She was receptive, and I said to her, especially nowadays, we don't need people having attitude. She agreed with me. So, I think we're going to see more of that, where we actually, I was thinking about during COVID, like almost like COVID was preparing us also for this, where we all had to kind of push our bullshit aside and just go, you know, we have no choice but to help each other. That's what's going on there. So, I almost have one eye out. I almost took his eye out. So, I think that the heinousness, the overt heinousness of what's going on here is what's going to mobilize people, obviously. But also, we have the framework. We have the framework. We have the judicial system. And now we have waves of people whose consciousness is changing. If you get a chance, look at the Bernie Sanders video of when he went to West Virginia. And it might stir up some compassion within you, because the people in West Virginia, there's a poor population, and there's a whole population of people that live in the rural, you know, John Denver sang about, Mama, what was it? West Virginia, Mountain Mama, right? Take me home, country road. So like rural West Virginia. And it was really heartwarming, because you got to see that these people were just misled. And they were saying to Bernie, you know, like, we meet you and we like you, and we didn't know anything about you, and we didn't know anything about what Trump was doing and saying, because we didn't know that he was going to do all this, right? Take away our health care, take away our jobs, making all these promises that he never kept. You know, I have no idea why people believe one word out of Donald Trump's mouth, but actually it was the Fox. It was the Fox. It was the fake news fiasco. So, since I just mentioned the fake news, Fox is starting to look ridiculous. So now, in the face of what people are facing, which is really about survival, we're all in this place where we need to survive, literally. Then there's going to be like 90% of the American people, it's going to be the thing. It's going to trend. It's going to be like, throw the bums out. That's what we're going to see. Now, I'm seeing a lot of that happening in December, especially. And at the same time that we're going through this absolute hell that Dumpy's putting us through, it's going to be a little bit like Whoville. You know, the Grinch who stole Christmas, and the people who came to a place where they made it clear that they didn't need money. I'm not saying we won't have any money. They made it very clear that that's not what they lived for, right? That we're about love. And the greatest tragedy that a human being can experience, and I've gotten this about Dumpy too, when I've kind of tuned into his past life as Mussolini, that his whole life path would be this, and it was a long time ago that I got this information. His whole life path would be that his punishment for being so heinous in that past lifetime during World War II was that he would enter into this life that he's in now, and he would create holy hell in America. And all the time he was doing that, waking America up to save our democracy, because it's really, democracy has been on its last leg for a while and needs to be strengthened. So his mission, his soul's mission, was to get in there and just be the devil. Just be the devil. You know, 34 times convicted felon that won the White House not once but twice, with Pootie's help. But not just that. That in this lifetime he would never, it's like the curse, he would never know love. And I'm not talking just romantic love. That's included. But in this lifetime, his punishment for being so awful was that he would never know love. He'd never experience love in this lifetime. His parents didn't love him. His children don't love him. Everything's superficial. And it's a little bit sad to see somebody, I mean, just in general, it's sad to see somebody who never got it in life. I mean, when you think about him, all he does is talk about money and nothing else. His main focus, it's like the air that we need to breathe. It's that important to him. Without money, without feeling like he's putting on, like, look how great I am, he's nothing. In his mind, he's nobody. We're getting there. We've got a little nose. The eyes are ready. And this is good. I'm kind of like multitasking. Getting this done, so then we'll have a jack-o'-lantern for off the ledge and everything. And yeah, so when this ends, what we're going through, and it will. Let me tell you why I know it will end. Because I don't believe that the forces of the universe, whatever you might consider them to be, the guides, the angels, the Mother Earth, Gaia, I don't believe that the consciousness that is everywhere, that created us, however you want to think about that, I don't believe it's going to support these evil billionaires who will destroy the planet, who will ultimately destroy the planet. That's their plan. I don't know if they have, like, plans for an alternative universe. like in that movie, Don't Look Up. Remember that movie? If you didn't see that movie, you need to see that movie. And the movie Don't Look Up, you know, like there's a meteor and everyone's just fucking around and they're not doing anything about it, and they're racing to, you know, this solution. The person with the scientists with the real solutions, they just push them away. The oligarchs push them away. You know, all the corporate so-and-sos in the movie, they push the scientists aside and they say, oh, get out of the way, we'll do this, right? Because they want all the accolades. So they end up, you know, failing at their mission to be all, you know, that and a cup of tea. They fail in their mission, and so humanity heads into perishing. The movie Don't Look Up. Leonardo DiCaprio's in it. Meryl Streep plays the president. It's really great. And so what ends up happening is they have to pay the price for the oligarchs making the decisions about the fate of planet Earth. They're met with the horrible fate of the meteor crashes to Earth, but right before, it's so interesting. You know, there's a scene where there's all this chaos, all this noise of the media and everything. It's like, when the meteor comes, it's just like nothing else matters. Now, I don't believe that that's where we're headed. I don't believe that this generation is gonna head in the direction of human extinction. That's my story, and I am standing by that. All we really need to do is throw the bums out, right? We need a coup. We need a military coup. Now, let me ask the guides. By the way, that puzzle behind me, that's Halloween scene, my dad made that. I bought him the puzzle. Those of you that were at the Halloween party have seen it, because I told you about it. So I said I'm tuning into my guides, and then I thought of my dad, and that made me think of the puzzle. Anyway, it's a great puzzle. He enjoyed putting it together. And it reminds me that he's with me. So, oh, it's 8 o'clock already. So I don't believe that we're going to be the last people on planet Earth. I don't. I believe that there are forces that are bigger than us that really will guide us and protect us. And we're being guided and protected right now. I know you're all probably getting nervous because I'm doing this with the knife, but don't worry. I've done this every Halloween my whole life. Just about. I do believe that we are divinely guided and protected. And I stand by that. I really do feel that we are, or there's no way that I would do what I'm doing. I've seen too many miracles in my life to not believe in them. And perhaps you have too. So, we're getting there. Let me just tune into Joe Biden. I actually feel like Joe Biden, I did see him. I saw a little tiny few seconds of the speech that he gave. He looks great. And I hope Joe Biden shows himself more, because I think that we need to see, now that he's not, you know, under all that pressure of the presidency, we need to see, oh, I spilled my beer. That's why this is here. We need to see what normalcy looks like. We need to see what Fox told us, and actually all of mainstream media for that matter. We need to see what they were dissing and criticizing and really lambasting and really being so horrible too. Because now, you know, the law of contrast, the comparison of Joe Biden, if he shows himself more, and I think that he will. I hope that he does, and I think that he will. We need to see these people. Like, we need to see Obama again. Not just us, because we know how they are, but the rest of the American people need to see the people who have stood for democracy standing for democracy. And that's what Joe Biden is doing. He received like an achievement award. He was at the Kennedy, the actual, I think he might have been at the JFK Library in Boston, which is still called that. So, I think that Biden is going to do okay with this, cancer treatments. He rang the bell recently, I heard. So that means that he's done with his first round of radiation treatments and he's doing well. There's a lot of good medication and programs out there to help people to live through cancer. All right. Now, we're getting there. I think that the information about Kamala actually winning the election will come out. I think that the Epstein files will come out. I think the shutdown will end, and I think that the shutdown is actually going to end. I did a reading on this the other night, and in the reading I saw that some of the Republicans were feeling very, very embarrassed and ashamed. Some. So the rest are just sadists, right? And full-on fascists. But some of the Republicans, the MAGA Republicans, did we ever think we'd see Marjorie Taylor Greene agree with the Democrats? She's no angel, but I'm just saying. She was feeling the pressure, and she's not going to be the only one. We have our jack-o'-lantern. Hang on, one more little touch-up. It's like being the barber. One little touch-up, one little spot. And I'll fix it up even better later. So, I think that the government is going to reopen. And I think it's going to reopen right around November 7th-ish, right around then. And Dumpy's going to be very, very upset. Now, I did mention that I feel like he's going to not be able to function as president. I mean, we know he can't anyway. But his health is going to take him down. And I don't feel JD taking his place because the American people will be too upset. At all of them. And JD has no charisma at all or anything really to show for himself. Except being a big, you-know-what. Crazy, crazy times we're in. Anyway, I like that I've kind of multitasked here, and I thought I had a candle. We'll just use, oh yes I do. And I'll probably have pumpkin seeds. I'll toast some pumpkin seeds. So thank you for joining me for PNN, the Psychic and the Pumpkin edition. And here we are. I have to scrape the guts out a little better, but just for right now. You can see we have a jack-o'-lantern. It kind of looks like the same one from last year. All right, well, keep the faith, and I will be back with another PNN. Join us for Off the Ledge tomorrow. Thumbs up, please. And thank you. We'll see you soon. Thumbs up. Namaste.